right? So Claude Code just hit 80.8% on SWE bench verified, and ChatGPT 5.6 Sol is claiming 54% better token efficiency than its last generation. Two big claims. One question, which one actually holds up when you put them side by side? Both of these tools dropped. Major updates recently, and the stakes are real if you're paying $100 to $200 a month for an AI coding tool. I ran Claude Code versus ChatGPT 5.6 Sol across 4 real tests, 16 verified sources, 0 vendor spin. And honestly, I thought the context window test was going to be the tiebreaker, but the cost structure on one of these tools has a surprise in it that could seriously change your monthly bill. And I want to show you exactly what that looks like. So this comparison is for developers who are actually choosing between these two right now, not just reading about them. If you're running agentic coding tasks daily, touching multi-file code bases, or trying to figure out which subscription won't blow up your budget, this is for you. Pick the wrong tool and you're losing real money in real time every single week. Test 1 terminal and CLI integration depth and autonomy. The failure mode you want to avoid is being in the middle of a big refactor. Wanting your AI tool running in the background, committing changes and opening PRs while you focus on something else. And your tool just can't do that. No CLI, no subagents, no autonomous loops, and you're stuck copy-pasting into a chat window like it's 2023. What I found here was pretty one-sided, honestly. Claude Code ships as a dedicated CLI you install via curl or brew, runs up to 20 concurrent subagents by default with depth 3 spawning, and can commit, push, and open draft PRs on its own. Sol, no dedicated coding CLI documented anywhere in the research. It runs through the ChatGPT interface or API, and Sol's 54% token efficiency claim is vendor sourced from Sam Altman. So take it with a grain of salt. Claude Code takes test 1, and it wasn't close. I was expecting Sol to at least have some kind of terminal integration story, but there's just nothing documented, and Claude Code is purpose-built for the terminal in a way Sol isn't even trying to be right now. Or is Claude Code 1, ChatGPT 5.6 Sol 0, and it's already feeling pretty lopsided. Test 2, multi-file codebase editing accuracy. The failure mode here is brutal. Your AI tool touches 6 files, gets 3 of them right, and silently guesses on the 4th, and you don't catch it until an hour later when something downstream breaks. That's a debugging session that costs you real time and real trust in the tool. So I looked at the benchmark data and the toolchain docs for both. Claude Code sits at 80.8% on SWE bench verified, blog reported as the highest publicly available score, and Sol has no published SWE bench number in any source I could find, which is a real gap. What surprised me is the atomic edit tool Claude Code uses. It fails rather than guesses if it can't find an exact string match, and press sources actually flag accuracy issues and what they call cheating behavior for Sol on complex multi-step operations. Claude Code wins test 2 as well. I was expecting Sol to at least have some benchmark number to put up against 80.8%, but there's nothing to compare it to, and the atomic edit tool that fails safely on ambiguous matches is a concrete documented reliability edge. That brings us to Claude Code 2, ChatGPT 5.6 Sol 0, with 2 more tests to go. Test 3, subscription cost versus token usage transparency. This one has a real horror story attached to it. Claude Code's sub-agent fanout has produced a documented $47,000 incident bill, and that's not a typo, and Sol has its own trap. If your request goes above 272,000 tokens, the entire request gets repriced at 2 times input and 1.5 times output, not just the overage. Both of these tools have billing surprises waiting for you if you don't read the fine print. What I found is that these 2 pricing models are genuinely hard to compare directly. Claude Code runs $20 to $200 a month, depending on your plan. And community data shows one developer covered $1,588 worth of API equivalent usage on a $200 max plan, while Sol charges $5 per million input tokens and $30 per million output at baseline, with that steep 2 times surcharge kicking in above 272,000 tokens. These are completely different cost structures. So the comparison is kind of apples to oranges. Now, before I call this one, you really need to know about the most common Claude Code billing mistake. Team Standard at $20 a seat does not include Claude Code Access. You need Team Premium at $100 a seat. And a lot of teams have gotten burned by that. And Sol's surcharge reprices the whole request above 272,000 tokens. So depending on your usage pattern, either tool can get expensive fast. This one's a tie, and honestly, that's what I expected once I dug into the structures. I was hoping one would be clearly cleaner, but both carry real spike risk and real billing gotchas for different reasons. So the score stays at Claude Code 2, ChatGPT 5.6 Sol 0 with 1 tied, and the cost question really comes down to your usage pattern more than anything else. Test 4, context window handling for large repositories. The failure mode here is you load a massive monorepo into your tool, it eats 15 to 25,000 tokens, just on startup overhead before it does any actual work. And then somewhere past 400,000 tokens, the model starts losing the thread, missing a function it already read, making a change that contradicts something earlier in the file. That context degradation is quiet and it's expensive to debug. So I dug into the specs and community data on both. Sol's raw window is 1.05 million tokens, and Claude Code's is 1 million on Max, Team, or Enterprise plans, but only 200,000 on Pro. And what surprised me is that Sol's larger window comes with that 2 times cost surcharge above 272,000 tokens on the full request. Claude Code's community data shows degradation starting around 400 to 600,000 tokens on needle and haystack tasks, and no equivalent degradation data exists for Sol. So I can't make that comparison symmetrically. The gap here is smaller than it looks on paper. Yes, Sol's window is technically bigger at 1.05 million versus 1 million. But that 50,000 difference isn't the story, because the real question is what it costs you to use that full window. And for Sol, that surcharge kicks in way before you even get close to the limit. Claude Code's Pro plan caps at 200,000. So if you're not on Max or Enterprise, you're not even in the same conversation. Another tie, and I'll be honest, I was expecting Claude Code to lose this one on raw window size. Sol is technically larger at 1.05 million tokens, but the cost structure above 272,000 tokens makes it a wash in practice. So that brings us to our final score: Claude Code 2, ChatGPT 5.6 Sol 0, with 2 tied. And now let's talk about what that actually means for you. Claude Code wins on terminal depth, full stop. Dedicated CLI, up to 20 parallel subagents, depth 3 spawning, autonomous PR commits, the whole thing, and it wins on multi-file editing accuracy with an 80.8% SWE bench score and an atomic edit tool that fails safely instead of guessing. At heavy use, a $200 max plan can cover what would otherwise be $1,588 in API costs, which is a genuinely good deal. Sol wins on pricing transparency. Per token billing is explicit, no subscription tier confusion, no team plan gotchas, and the context window at 1.05 million tokens is nominally larger. If that 54% token efficiency claim holds up under real testing, moderate context workloads could get noticeably cheaper. And one developer reported building a full app for $7 versus $62 with a competing model, which is a single data point, but a pretty interesting one. Okay, so honestly, I was expecting this to be closer, but Sol's benchmarking data is just really thin compared to Claude Code's, which made parts of this comparison one-sided by necessity. So here's the decision rule. If you live in the terminal, run agentic multi-file tasks daily, and can justify $100 to $200 a month, Claude Code is your tool. If you want transparent per token pricing, no subscription commitment, and you're doing moderate context work, Sol is probably enough.